Hey everybody, KC here. So I was reading a story in Fast Company magazine, and apparently there's a nascent movement to repeal the whole right turn on red laws that are pretty much everywhere in the United States. And the story pointed out that until 50 years ago, only a handful of Western states actually had right turn on red laws. And then there was an oil crisis in the 70s, and basically the federal government then insisted that states start to adopt right turn on red laws. So there's a way of eliminating cars idling in traffic, right? These are cars that were not getting very good mileage, unlike the cars today. And in 1975, basically, the federal government said, you got to have these laws, otherwise you're not going to get energy funding from the federal government. And by 1980, okay, the last holdout was Massachusetts. They had changed. And in New York, in North America right now, apparently there've only been really two places where you could not make a right turn on red: New York City and Montreal. Otherwise, pretty much anywhere, that's what you can do. But here's the problem, according to Fast Company. Pedestrian and cyclist deaths have hit their highest levels in 40 years. And right on red is basically seen as part of the reason for this and needs to be eliminated. Now, it's funny, I can remember when I went to college. I went to Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, went out there in 1974. And when I got there in 1970, there was a right turn on red law. I'd never heard of such a thing. This was remarkable to me. But by the time I returned to the East Coast in 1977, New York had a right turn on red law. And very, very quickly the country changed. Now, there's a part of me that would hate it if they repealed the right turn on red law. But I have to say, I would understand. You know, half the time when you see people making a right turn on red, they don't stop at the red light, right? They just kind of coast on through. And, and that's actually not really surprising, because there are a lot of people who don't stop at red lights. A lot of people who don't stop at stop signs. They just don't think the laws apply to them, and they create a real safety hazard. As somebody who jogs a lot on local streets and has ridden my bicycle on local streets, there's been more than a few times that it's been a close call because people are not paying attention. They're just driving along and they're listening to music or podcasts, and they're paying attention to their screens or their phones. They're having conversations, and they're not paying attention to what's going on around them. Listen, when they instituted right turn on red laws back in the 70s, it made sense, but maybe not so much anymore. There's lots of reasons for that, I think. So this is actually a really good business lesson. Just because you've always done something a certain way doesn't mean you should keep doing it that way. When circumstances change, when the facts on the ground start to change, it's really important to make a change. That's what companies should do, and frankly, that's what nuanced and sophisticated public policy should do. Things are changing. It's important to change it. And listen, let's face it, cars are much more complicated, require more attention than they required back in the 70s, and there are a lot more distractions for drivers. For those reasons, I think it's really probably a good idea to eliminate right turn on red laws. I think the argument's a compelling one, but it's a business lesson as well. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.